Look at your hand right now. Look at the small glowing rectangle that is almost certainly in it or within reach of it. The first thing you touch in the morning before your feet are on the floor, and the last thing you touch at night after the lights are out. Now count, if you can, how much you have spent this year reaching for relief. The subscriptions, the courses, the supplements, the app that was going to fix your focus, the program that was going to fix your sleep, the membership that was going to fix your body, the book that was going to fix your mind. Add it up, honestly, and it is more than you want to admit. And here is the part that should stop you cold. Are you better than you were a year ago? Calmer, steadier, more present in your own life? For most people, the honest answer is no, or barely. And they conclude that they simply have not found the right thing yet, that the fix is out there still, one more purchase away. It is not out there. It was never out there. Everything that actually changes a human being from the inside costs nothing at all, has always cost nothing. And the reason you were sold 1,000 things instead is precisely that the real things cannot be sold. You cannot put a price on them. And so they were left out of the conversation, drowned under the noise, while you reached and reached and paid and paid. I want you to sit with that because it overturns the whole arrangement you have been living inside. You have been taught that improvement is a thing you acquire, that becoming a better, calmer, stronger person is a kind of shopping, that if you only assemble the right tools and routines and products, you will finally arrive. And so you have treated your own transformation like a project to be funded. But the people across all of history who actually became steady and clear and unshakable did not buy their way there. They could not have. Most of them, they had nothing. They changed themselves with habits that required no money, no equipment, no membership, nothing but the willingness to do a small, quiet thing again and again. I have spent my life among such habits and such people, and I am going to give you 6 of these habits, 6 things that cost exactly 0 and change everything, and I am going to show you why the very fact that they are free is the reason you were never told about them. My name is Jigme Dorji. I am a monk and I am 76 years old. I have owned almost nothing for almost all of my life. And I want to tell you plainly that I am not a deprived man. I am by a wide margin the most contented person most visitors have ever met, and they always want to know how, and they always assume the answer is something they cannot have. It is not. The peace people see in an old monk does not come from the robe or the mountain or some grace withheld from ordinary people. It comes from a handful of small daily habits, kept faithfully across decades, none of which cost a single coin, all of which are available to you tonight. What those habits are is what I am going to give you now, for free, in the next few minutes. It is the same thing dressed up and sold back to you in expensive programs on wellness and mindfulness and self-mastery. And the heart of it, the part that actually works, is so simple and so quiet that no one can build much of a business around it. So they sell you the packaging. I am going to hand you the free thing inside. I am going to give you 6 habits that cost nothing and change everything. I am going to tell you why each one works, the actual reason it reshapes a person, so you trust it because you understand it. I am going to be honest about what these will do and what they will not, because there are people who will promise you that a free morning habit will make you rich and well and beloved, and that is not true, and I will not tell you a thing that is not true. And then I am going to tell you the part that should trouble you a little, which is why a whole world that profits from your reaching will never teach you the habits that ask for nothing. Stay with me. This one is worth 4 quiet minutes. Let me start with the habit that all the others grow from, because once you have this one, the rest become possible. The first habit is the morning pause, a few minutes at the very start of the day, before the world rushes in which you do nothing and reach for nothing. Most people begin the day by immediately pouring the world into their mind, the screen, the news, the messages, the worry, all of it flooding in before they are even fully awake, and they wonder why they feel chased from the first moment. You have given the day its first word, and the first word was noise. The habit is simply this: when you wake, before you reach for anything, you sit, even on the edge of the bed, and you do nothing for a few minutes. You feel the breath. You let the mind be quiet and ungrasped at. You do not fill the silence. This costs nothing and takes almost no time, and it changes the entire day, because the mind that begins the day in stillness meets everything that comes after from a place of steadiness, while the mind that begins in flood spends the whole day trying to catch up to a wave it can never reach. Give the day its first word, and let that word be silence. The second habit is single tasking, the nearly lost art of doing one thing at a time and giving it your whole self. The modern mind is trained to split itself, to do 3 things at once and none of them well, to eat while watching, while scrolling, while half listening, and this splitting feels like efficiency and is in truth a slow grinding exhaustion, because a mind divided against itself is never at rest and never fully anywhere. The habit is to choose deliberately to do one thing only and to be wholly inside it. When you drink the tea, only drink the tea. When you wash the dish, only wash the dish, and feel the warmth of the water and the weight of the bowl. When you listen to a person, only listen, and put the glowing rectangle face down and out of sight. I have swept the same floor for 60 years, and I will tell you that there is a way to sweep it that exhausts a man, and a way to sweep it that rests him, and the only difference is whether his whole mind is on the broom or scattered across 100 other places while his hands move without him. This costs nothing, and it is harder than it sounds, and it is the doorway to a kind of peace most people have not felt since childhood, because a mind that is fully in one thing is a mind that is finally resting, and a life lived one whole moment at a time is a life that is actually lived rather than merely rushed through. You do not need more hours. You need to be present for the ones you already have. The third habit is the one most people skip, which is a shame because it may be the most powerful of all, and it is this: a daily practice of giving something away, small and quiet, and expecting nothing back. Not money necessarily. You may have little, a kind word, a moment of real attention, letting the other car in, carrying the heavy thing for the older person, speaking the good thought you would normally keep silent. The habit is to give, deliberately, at least one small thing each day, with no audience and no reward. My old teacher taught me why this matters, with words I have never been able to shake. He said, "The surest cure for a heavy heart is to lighten someone else's, and the man who gives daily is never poor and never alone, whatever he owns." The reason this changes everything is that the whole weight of a sorrowful life is the weight of being trapped inside the self, and nothing breaks that trap faster or more completely than the daily habit of turning, even for a moment, toward another. Give one thing a day, freely, and watch the prison door swing open from the inside. The fourth habit is the evening accounting, a quiet looking back at the day before you sleep, gentle and honest and brief. Most people end the day the way they began it, in a flood, falling asleep to a screen, letting the mind churn through worry until exhaustion takes them, and they wake unrested because the day was never set down. The habit is to take a few minutes before sleep and simply review the day with kindness. What was good in it, what you are grateful for, where you fell short and might do better, and then to set the whole of it down and let it go. This is not punishment, and it is not anxious rumination. It is the gentle closing of a door. It costs nothing, and it does two great things at once. It lets the good of the day be felt and kept, which most people never pause long enough to do, and it lets the day be finished, truly finished, so that it does not follow you into sleep and into tomorrow. Close each day on purpose, with gratitude and honesty, and you will find you carry far less of it forward than you used to. The fifth habit is about speech, and it is the simple discipline of speaking less and meaning more. We drown in our own words, most of us, filling every silence, saying things we do not mean to fill space, complaining out of habit, gossiping out of boredom, and all this idle speech costs us more than we know, because a person who is always talking is a person who is never listening and never still. The habit is to speak only when it improves on the silence, to let pauses sit without rushing to fill them, to refrain from the easy complaint and the idle unkindness. Before speaking, the old practice asks three small questions of the words. Are they true? Are they kind? Are they needed? And if they fail all three, to let them go unsaid. Try it for a single day, and you will be astonished how much of what you were about to say does not pass even one of the three. How much of our talk is neither true nor kind, nor needed, but only noise we make to feel less alone. This costs nothing, and it transforms not only your peace, but every relationship you have, because words spoken with care carry a weight that idle words never can, and a person known for the quality of his few words is trusted in a way the constant talker never is. Spend your words like a careful man spends coin, and each one becomes worth more. The sixth habit is the one that holds all the others together, and it is the habit of returning gently, without judgment, every time you fall away. Because you will fall away, you will keep these habits for a week and then forget them, and the old mind will reach for the screen again and rush the day again and drown in idle words again. And at that moment a voice will tell you that you have failed, that you are not a disciplined person, that it is hopeless, and that voice will tempt you to abandon the whole thing. The sixth habit is to ignore that voice entirely and simply begin again today with no drama and no self-punishment, as though the falling away were nothing more than a foot slipping on a path, which is all it ever was. This is the secret the whole world of self-improvement hides from you, because there is no product to sell in it. The people who changed were not the ones who never fell, they were the ones who returned 1,000 times, gently, without ever once concluding that the falling meant they should stop. The habit is not the morning pause, or the single task, or the giving. The deepest habit, beneath them all, is the returning. Master the returning, and you cannot truly fail, because failure was only ever the decision to stop coming back. That is the whole of it. Begin the day in silence. Do one thing wholly. Give one thing daily. Close the day with gratitude. Spend your words with care, and return gently every time you fall. 6 habits, no money, and beneath them one truth. You were never one purchase away from peace. You were always one small faithful habit away, and it was free. Now I have to be honest with you about what these will do and what they will not, because this is exactly where people overpromise. These habits will not make you wealthy. They will not by themselves lift a depression that has its hand around your throat, or repair a life that is breaking in ways that need more than a quiet morning. A free habit is not magic, and a person drowning in something heavy needs more than gratitude before bed. He needs the help of a doctor or a person he trusts, and there is no shame in that, and these habits are not a reason to avoid it. They are not a cure for everything. They are something humbler and, in the long run, greater. They are the daily tending that slowly makes a steadier person out of an unsteady one, not in a week, not in a dramatic burst, but in the quiet accumulation of small, faithful days. Do not expect them to save you overnight. Expect them to change you slowly, the way water shapes a stone, and judge them not by tomorrow morning, but by who you have become a year from now. Now I want to take a moment, because this is the part that matters, and it is bigger than any one habit. Think about who profits from you believing that change must be bought. Nearly the whole machine of the modern world depends on a single feeling planted deep in you, that you are not yet enough, and that the missing piece is purchasable, that the next program or product or subscription is the one that will finally fix what aches. There is no money in a free habit. A person who has learned to begin his day in silence and give one thing away and return gently when he falls is a person who needs to buy nothing to become who he wishes to be, and a person who needs to buy nothing is no use to a machine that lives on selling. So the free things, the habits that cost nothing and ask only faithfulness, are quietly left out of every conversation, never advertised, never sold, while the paid things shout from every direction, and it is dressed up in fine words, investing in yourself, treating yourself. You are worth it, and some of that is real. But underneath it is a simpler truth no one profits by telling you. The things that actually transform a person have always been free, available to the poorest human being who ever lived. And a population that learned this would stop reaching for its purse every time its soul felt restless. I am not telling you there is a villain who planned this. There is no meeting. It is simpler and almost worse. It is only that no one, anywhere, earns a coin when you change yourself for free, and so no one will ever sell you the free way. You have to choose it yourself. You were not born believing that you must pay to become whole. Watch a small child at peace, and you will see that their contentment costs nothing and was bought from no one. It is simply theirs, a birthright, the natural state of a mind not yet taught to feel its lack. The belief that you are incomplete, that the completion is for sale, was taught to you slowly, one promise at a time, until you could no longer feel the difference between needing something and being told you needed it. Nobody taught you the other way. Not because it does not work. It has worked for as long as there have been quiet people who changed themselves with nothing but daily faithfulness in every tradition, under every name. They did not teach you because the free habit cannot be packaged and cannot be sold and asks nothing of anyone but you. It is yours. It was always yours. It was waiting in you, under all the reaching, the whole time. So here is what I want you to do, starting tomorrow morning, and it costs you nothing but a few minutes. When you wake, before you reach for the glowing rectangle, before you let the world flood in, sit for 3 minutes and do nothing but feel the breath. That is all. One habit, the first one, tomorrow morning. Do not try to take up all 6 at once. You will exhaust yourself, and keep none of them. Take the morning pause tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that, and when you forget it, as you will, simply begin again the next morning without a word of self-blame. You do not have to believe me yet. You only have to sit once for 3 free minutes before the day begins, and feel what it does to everything that follows. The habit will teach you the rest, and when it has, you will know how to add the next. Then tell me in the comments below which of the 6 is the one you most need: the morning silence, the single task, the daily giving, the evening gratitude, the careful word, or the gentle returning. And when you tried the morning pause, tell me what changed. I read every one of them. The things you tell one another down there teach the people who come after you far more than I ever could, and they are a great part of why I keep doing this. And if any of this rang true, if you are the kind of person who has long suspected that the simple thing was buried under all the noise so that someone could sell you the complicated one, then come back, because there is more. The next thing I want to show you is the practice of the single hour, 1 hour each day kept entirely free of screens and voices and noise, the hour in which all 6 of these habits find their natural home and begin to grow on their own. It is the natural next step after this one, the soil the rest take root in. Until then, begin your day in silence, give one small thing away, and remember this above all: the most changed and steady people you have ever met did not buy their way to who they are. They could not have. They simply kept a few free habits faithfully for a long time, and let those small daily things slowly make them new. An old monk is only an ordinary man who kept the free habits long enough to be changed by them. Go quietly and begin tomorrow with 3 minutes of silence.